All right, guys, welcome back to Daniel D For Real. That's me. I'm Daniel. You're you. Thanks for clicking. I appreciate it. On this channel, we cover life and workplace influence with an emphasis on failures, because when we learn from that, that contributes towards the real and authentic us. If you've arrived at this video, it's possible that you've been through the whole INTJ journey with me, and I appreciate you sticking with it, because as a treat, today we have my 7 most helpful tips for an INTJ to consider. I'm excited about them. Now, one common theme on this channel is any strength pushed to an extreme is a weakness. Let me say it again. Any strength pushed to an extreme becomes a weakness. So it's important that the INTJ appreciates the rarity of their personality, because let's face it, a lot of things that you might have accomplished today, especially speaking for me, things that I'm proud of, I attribute towards my personality type and my ability to embrace that. However, I also have some weaknesses, and it's cost me quite a bit, as you've heard throughout the series. So today I'm gonna sort of wrap all this up and culminate it in these top 7 tips. So let's get it on.
Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
So just like the Hulk, who's always angry, we're always the INTJ. We're still very much us. And as long as we embrace that, as opposed to running from it or using it as an excuse, then we've got a good shot at adopting these 7 tips. Number 1, ask questions before giving your opinion, because we can be disruptive in many situations. When you ask questions, it normalizes you. It's like, oh, okay, this guy asks questions. This guy, this girl, they ask questions as well. And so they're interested in what everybody is saying. And as you evolve, you really will be interested. It won't just be for show, but you might have to, sort of, fake it till you make it type deal as you go on your evolutionary journey. And a key way to do that is to ask questions before, even though you think you're right, ask questions before you give your opinion. Point number 2, compromise is an option. Even though, according to your perspective, according to my perspective, according to our perspective, the outcome of not adopting my opinion will be suboptimal, it is possible to just compromise, and that's okay. Point number 3, put a time limit before you give feedback. What I mean by that is, let's say I have a task for somebody, or I'm expecting something, and in my mind it's like, say I give it to them like at 9 a.m. I'm like, oh, they're gonna have that back at 2 o'clock. That's definitely it. And all of a sudden it's 2:15. And I'm cringing towards the keyboard, what is the status, right? It's very tough. But what I have learned to do, what's been helpful for me, is to be proactive about a time limit. Like, okay, well, I'm going to give this person 2 days, and I'm just going to bite my tongue and just bound my hands to not hit the keyboard, and I'm going to give them 2 full days to get back to me. And what I have personally found is that when you give people that space and you give them that credibility up front, more times than not, it tends to work out. And even if it doesn't, I've at least preserved that relationship, so that way when I do engage them, the timing's right. Point number 4, find the human sounding board. What I mean by that is, you're gonna find 1 or 2 people at work that really like your brand. And what I would encourage you to do is, if you've got ideas, always sort of bounce those ideas off of them, especially if they get something out of it. And that helps you sort of weed out whether it's an idea that you feel like you should elevate and let everybody know about, right? Okay, point number 5, and this is applicable especially to project or team leads. Invite people to conversations if they're interested, even though you may not think they're qualified. And if that person is showing interest and they want to contribute, then that should be enough to at least hear them out before we automatically impose what we think about them. And if you're in a team lead position, this is very dangerous, because you'll very quickly isolate the amount of people who are willing to work with you. And sooner or later, INTJs, if they don't evolve, find themselves on an island. Go back and watch the introduction, right? The Emperor, Tywin Lannister, all those people. What else do they all have in common? So they end up on it alone, they end up on an island, they end up by themselves. So If you're project or team lead, make sure that you allow people to give their opinion based on their interests and not simply what we think. Point number 6, another very, very simple point. Ascribe a level of importance to everyone. Give everyone a chance. Come on. Hear me now, right? Like stay with me, all right? Clean out the ears. Listen to me. Give everyone a chance. Okay, all right. Point number 7, this applies to everybody watching this video who is not an INTJ, and I implore you to give us a chance. Maybe after all this series, and I've seen a couple comments as well where it's like, I do not want to know about this, piece of garbage human being who just sees me as a means to an end. And I get it, right? I don't blame you, right? But what I would say is, if you give INTJs a chance, they can be a very, very powerful ally, as long as you sort of know how to interact with them and, pay attention to the video series, adopt these things, befriend an INTJ, you'll thank yourself, you'll thank me, it's all gonna work out. And yeah, so give us a shot. We're not too horrible most times. Okay, last thing to wrap up is, I know throughout this entire series, right, I can see it, there's a lot of whys out there, like, why this video series and why the evolution? Why I'm the INTJ? Let me just embrace that and go with it. And I hear you, and I don't blame you. And you want to go that route, right? Roll with it, baby. It's your life, it's your time. If you like it, I love it, right? But the whole point is that what I would ask you to consider, and what I've considered, is to just make a small degree of change. 1 in 60 aviation rule, which says that 1 degree of change results in 60 miles of course change. So if you just, maybe according to your perspective, try just a little bit of change, scale one of those letters just a little bit, see how it works out from you, and if you like it and it adds to you, then roll with it. And if not, then hey, maybe another day, another time. Okay, so we provide illustrations to drive these points home, personal illustrations, personal failures, because again, that's how we learn to become the real us. One of my first jobs was in sales, and I had a fellow coworker come up to me after the first year and say, man, when you first got here, I thought you were a dick. But the more I got to know you, I was wrong and you weren't so bad, right? And that's sometimes about the best compliment an INTJ can get, right? Because I had won Salesman of the Year and crushed the competition, and not a lot of people liked me. But to have him sort of say that, I'm like, all right, well, I'm glad I'm not such a bad guy, but I would have preferred him to not think I was a dick the entire time, maybe just some of the time. And then my next 2 jobs, I actually got the same type of feedback. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, because if you're watching this video, it's like, no, I like that image. People think I'm a jerk. People think I'm, a very rude, stringent person, and it's worked to my advantage. I love it. Cool. You like it, I love it, like I said. But if you are looking for some sort of evolution and you want to preserve relationships, that method's not going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tips for the INTJ. I'm dumb. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I like doing this. So, all right, that was 7 tips for the INTJ from my perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Hit the like button, share it with anybody you feel like the content is appropriate for, and don't forget to subscribe and join the club. I will see you on the next video.